Good evening, everyone. I'm going to kick off our Select Board meeting here on Wednesday, the 12th at 6 p.m. I'll acknowledge CTBSB is recording live, and we have Clarence Fanto in the audience. Are you going to record, Clarence? Yeah. Okay, thank you. No particular announcements from me preceding the meeting. We'll get into obviously the business of the agenda. There's some more substantive stuff here than we've had the last couple of meetings, but some of these are going to be preliminary discussions that will be continued further on. So with that, I'll move on to, we have 3 sets of minutes to accept.
Yes, I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of 5/29/24, 8/7/24, and 1/29/25. Just to note, we're catching up. We were behind on some of the minutes, so this is the first step at getting it all caught up.
Second. Any discussion on the 3 sets of minutes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Is anyone here to address us during citizen open forum, or are you all here for the public hearings and whatnot afterwards? Okay, thank you. Ed, why don't we move on to our consent agenda?
The consent agenda, we have a one-day liquor license request, Berkshire Children's Chorus. I imagine it'll be adults. All alcoholics, Saturday, March 8th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at Benford Hall. And then we have a one-day liquor license request, Benford Hall, a wine and malt license for February 13th from 4 to 10 p.m. And we have some use requests for the auditorium. The Lenox Library Association is looking to use the library from the auditorium from October 6th through the 13th for the LLA annual book sale. And Berkshire Lyric Theater is looking to use the auditorium on March 15th and 16th from 1 to 5 p.m. for concerts. And the Berkshire International Film Festival is looking for the auditorium for March 16th for a film screening and May 27th through June 2nd for the film festival. Something they do every year.
All the paperwork, the tips, forms.
All the paperwork's in order, and we should be good to go.
Looks good. Lots going on in Town Hall.
Yep.
Oh, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, why don't we move on to general business. Now, Jay, as I understand, we don't have a public hearing notice to read?
No, you still have a public hearing. You can open the public hearing, but you don't necessarily need to read the hearing notice itself. This was posted, I want to say, this is one that was postponed, I think, from our postponement from a few weeks ago, I think.
This one was?
I know, we had quite a bit, so
Yeah.
I can't recall. But no, Deanna didn't have it, but that's okay. I don't think you need it.
Okay.
As long as you open the public hearing.
We will have a public hearing, we just don't have a
Absolutely.
notice.
Yep.
It was in
And
the
it's been
paper.
duly noticed
Yeah.
on there.
All right, why don't you make a motion to open a public hearing?
Go ahead. All right, so we'll make a motion, well, let me read this, how about that? We're having a public hearing for a hotel all-alcoholic license request for a change of manager at Gateways Inn Properties, LLC, 51 Walker Street, to Ryan McIntyre. So I'll make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're open to the public hearing, and it looks like we have some folks here to address us. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Jesse Cook-Dubin of Cohen, Kinney, Valicenti, and Cook, representing the applicant, Gateways Inn. And with me is Ryan McIntyre, the proposed manager. He's the executive chef. He has decades of experience in food and beverage service and is available to answer any questions you may have.
Tell us what you're doing, what are your ideas? This is the chance where you get to advertise yourself a little bit.
Oh, interesting. I would just like to keep the food fresh, local as possible, especially during the summertime when prime produce isn't around. That's about it, to be honest. Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yep.
Looks like the paperwork's
It's
in
a
order.
fixture in town, and the paperwork's perfect, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great to have Gateways open again this spring, and you guys usually have a great time out front. You've got some nice new amenities with that fence down. It looks very welcoming. So good luck.
Forward to it.
All right, so it looks like no other discussion, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay, let's move to accept the...
So I'll make a motion, we accept the transfer from Gateways Inn Properties LLC to Ryan McIntyre, property at, what number is it?
51 Walker.
51 Walker Street.
I want to interject, it's
Yeah.
not a transfer of the license, it's just a change of manager.
Oh, just to change the manager, okay.
So let's rephrase that. Want me to do-
Yeah, rephrase it, yeah.
All right, so this motion is to accept the proposed change in manager to Ryan S. McIntyre for the Gateways Inn LLC located at 51 Walker Street here in Lenox.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Just show Max abstaining on that one.
You guys are good?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Jesse.
Take care, Jesse. Okay. We had to move this from the meeting that I think it was the meeting we didn't have a quorum, but
That's the one I think I'm thinking of.
okay. Regardless, we have what is a very nice thing. Before us is the approval of a conservation restriction resulting from a gift of land. Do you want to read the,
I don't have anything to read.
all right,
I can frame it.
Or just, well, okay, what we're doing is an approval for a conservation restriction at 123 Hubbard Street on land of Dale and Susan Zola, covering approximately 56 acres. Request by Berkshire Natural Resources Council to have the Select Board approve the restriction. BNRC will be responsible for ensuring the intent of the restriction is met. A representative of BNRC should be present to answer any questions you may have. You may wish to have BNRC highlight the terms of the restriction for the Select Board and mention that such restrictions are consistent with the open space goals of the town. Is somebody here from BNRC?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Select Board. Thank you very much for allowing us to speak about this important conservation restriction tonight. We appreciate it. My name is Johnny Robinson, and I work as Conservation Associate for Berkshire Natural Resources Council, and I'm also a resident of Lennoxdale. BNRC has conserved over 26,000 acres across the Berkshires since 1967, including lands here in Lenox, and we hold nearly 100 conservation restrictions on both private and public lands. This CR will permanently protect roughly 56 acres of forest, fields, and wetlands abutting both Route 7 and Hubbard Street, and also abutting a BNRC reserve. It will allow for forestry and support the continued use of the property by a local farmer for hay production. This property provides important habitat for bobolinks, a declining bird species which nest in the fields, along with other wildlife. This CR will also help protect water quality of a perennial stream that eventually feeds into the Housatonic. Protection of the property aligns with the open space goals stated in Lennox's most recent open space and recreation plan and its 2021 master plan, including protecting agricultural resources, wetlands, native plant and wildlife habitats, and uplands west of the Housatonic River. This CR will maintain the scenic beauty in town with its open fields and the slopes of the Pinnacle, a geologic feature which can be viewed from Route 7. This property also once played a role in Lennox's history by supporting the Curtis Hotel here in downtown Lenox. As the holder of the restriction, BNRC will work with current and future landowners to ensure that the conservation values of the property are being upheld through regular monitoring and enforcement if needed. This CR will benefit the plants, wildlife, waters, and the people of Lenox for current and future generations. Thank you for your consideration. And the landowner is here if she's allowed to say a few words about the importance of the personal significance of the restriction.
Good evening. I'm Dale Zola. I've dreamed of this conservation restriction for as long as I can remember. Over the years, I've looked into the past owners up to present owners of the land and how the land became what it is today through many different deeds and grants and everything. I have all of that historical record. And it's such a beautiful place and such a lovely piece of land. It's very special. And I hope that you will help me make my dream come true, that it is conserved forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
No, I gotta say, Dale and I go way back. I remember when her father owned that place years and years ago, he called it the Little Ponderosa. And because it's just that big, beautiful house sitting there on that perfect piece of land, and it fits into our needs and our long-term goals for the town of Lenox. That's what we're trying to do, the connectivity of as many pieces of property as we can. And this is one big piece. And I know it's been near and dear to your heart to get this done and over with, so you really have my support.
I'll echo those sentiments exactly. I think the town, the folks that live here, the abutters, everybody will be very grateful and very happy that it continues as a restricted piece of land.
It's lovely that it fits. It's such a giant piece of the puzzle for us to have this animal throughway for very important species that need to continue to live and thrive in Lenox. And we really appreciate the generosity of your gift.
We have a suggested motion.
Yeah, I have a motion, yeah. Suggested motion. I move to grant a conservation restriction on approximately 56 acres of property located at 123 Hubbard Street, owned by Dale and Susan Zola, to be monitored by the Berkshire Natural Resources Council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Very, very
Thanks
much.
again, Dale, and thank you.
Incredibly generous.
And Jay, I presume between you and the BNRC folks,
We'll figure out what you need.
I saw the maps and all the various details of it and took careful notes. We turned them all out for saving some paper.
I think you'll probably just need verification from the city clerk on the vote, because this will be registered at the registry of deeds, I would assume. But if you need anything, just reach out. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, and then just notarize signatures.
Yeah, there's a signature page within the document.
We'll get that for you.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. This is a similar topic, but this is something that has been before us for several years now.
This has been in front of us since 2021, and
We're cleaning stuff up.
we're cleaning stuff up. Well, it wasn't anybody's fault in particular. It's just the wheels turn slow when you're dealing with conservation restrictions and taking them off of conservation, transferring it and doing all that kind of thing. And it has to go before the legislature, right?
Absolutely. We needed, my understanding is it was the property was in Article 97, needed to come out. We needed to find a parcel that was an even swap that the state would approve. So this is a complicated transaction that's taken quite a bit of time, but it's also exciting for not just the town, but also for the Warden organization. So we're finally at that point where we can move ahead.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit for Edith Wharton, that piece of property. I mean, I don't even know where it is, but it's a beautiful spot down there.
In my understanding is the house that's on that parcel was the housekeeper or the groundskeeper's residence to the Warden estate.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, interesting. And then I called Gwen just to so Eamon and I could get some information on it. And she said the master plan, the idea is so that if you're visiting Edith Wharton's, the organization in the house, you can eventually walk down and have water access. So that just sounded very interesting. Another piece that makes a cultural attraction.
There's features still there, foundations of barns, that kind of thing, as you walk down. So you can visualize what it was like back in the day. Yeah, it's nice.
So there's really nothing for the board just needs to, is just recognizing that this is something that's been going on for a while. And there is a motion for the board that our council has recommended. And although most of the documents are already authorized to be signed, they just requested one motion just in case anything else comes up, just to authorize the chairperson to sign on behalf of the board. But at this point, I think we have all the signatures we need, but just in case. So
Should we
that's,
do that just to be careful?
yep, that's it. That way there, if anything comes up, Neil can sign on behalf of the board and we don't have to wait until we have our next scheduled meeting, et cetera.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to authorize the chair of the select board to execute any other documents as may be necessary for the conveyance of the property as requested by town council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, well, I will be ready to sign if something comes up.
I never printed out so many signature pages before, but it's good to get it done. When I went around asking people for it, oh yeah, we gotta tell you about that, so glad to be here to get it done.
This is that. Making my way through that pile here, but then you're going faster than, to be honest, than I expected.
I am?
Yep.
So, yeah,
Give me the warm-up, give me the warm-up sign.
I just want to get to your pages, Jen.
I brought them because
Oh, there we go. This, that, and while I'm at it, we approve these licenses, so I think that's what I have. Is that-
yeah, I printed out a bigger version because it was so teeny.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do the other side.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, we are about to have a presentation by the Chamber of Commerce to review the 2024 programming and their proposed fiscal year 26 budget.
Hi,
You're up.
everyone. It's good to see you. It's been a while. I just wanted to start by just doing a little wrap-up of what we did in 2024, our programming. I'm not going to go through everything because you have this in front of you, but, you know, the highlights are, you know, the farmer's market, our art walks, the concerts in the park, Lenox Loves Music, Apple Squeeze. This year, we did in December, for our Lenox Winterland event, we did a holiday market, which was a lot of fun. We brought it brought 300 people in on a Saturday, a cold Saturday. It was, we had heat lamps out and fire pits, and Antimony was there with their beer truck, and Charlie's Bistro Bus was there, and then we had a bunch of vendors there selling stuff for Christmas, and Santa was there, of course. And so that was a lot of fun. So we were really happy with the success of that and bringing some people to town, like I said, on a cold Saturday. So, and then in addition to that, of course, we run the visitor center. This year, we saw over 6,000 people in the visitor center. It's really funny. With our new location, only, 100 feet down the road, we have so many more walk-in people. We're seeing a lot more of our business members pop in. And, you know, it's just, I guess, because of the proximity. So, you know, the windows it's so prominent for us in marketing and whatnot. So it's been a good move. It's been a good move. So, and so we're continuing with that. Right now, we are in the midst of our membership renewal for 2025, and it's going well. And we are in the process of working on our 2025 print brochure, which will be out at the beginning of April. And then I also handed out to you the 2025 the chamber event calendar, just so you had some sort of idea of what's going on. Same thing, and the dates, of course. So, so you have that. So, which brings me to our budget. I've met with members of the finance committee. I've met with Jay and Mary Beth and a couple, a bunch of people, and this is sort of what we've landed on with our upcoming budget. This year, so when we initially moved into our new space at 27 Housatonic Street, we were sharing the space with Barnbrook Realty. They've since moved out. They moved out November of 2024. So now we've taken over the space, so our rent has doubled. But it's still where we were at the old location. So I'm still sort of maintaining what that is. And so that was sort of our big increase coming up
Do you-
this year.
Do you need that much space, or? will it-
It's, I mean, yeah, it's small.
Yeah.
But I think it's really essential with the nature of what Lenox is, having a visitor center right in the center. I mean, we're doing, like I said, over 6,000 people walking in, and I just think it's an important part of the, welcoming part of the town for tourists and even for locals. We have a lot of locals. They come and they post all of their, all of the things going on, and so it's, it's really a billboard for the town. So I think it's really important.
I mean, I think space-wise, you're kind of in half the actual square footage than you were.
Oh, a third.
At the
third.
corner, right?
Yeah. We're at 700 square feet. Before we were,
But it's great, because
2,000.
you guys have rack cards for all of the
Yeah,
local
we've-
surrounding attractions, and it's a way for, if it's raining, people to get out of the rain and check out things to do.
They come in, they use our Wi-Fi, we have the chairs in there, we've got the water machine, we sell water bottles, that kind of thing. Technically, it's not a public bathroom, but if everything's closed or the weather's bad, we'll, let some people use our bathroom. I mean, we have to have an office to work as well, so, we're doing, all of our work out of the office, and so anyway, it's a good space. I think it's perfect for us, actually. And like I said, it's a very visible spot, and, who knows down the line if something, whatever happens with the old the firehouse, if that's become something that makes sense for us to be there. I mean, I'm not opposed to anything, but for now, it's a good spot, and it's the most reasonable that we can find in town. So, I will say with the increase in visitors and also just in general, our Lenox guide, we did an overrun of guides. So, which means we printed an additional like 2,500 guides than we had initially anticipated for last year. So that this year we're planning on that, and if we may see an overrun again, we distribute all through Berkshire County, Columbia County, the Saratoga area, places that have commonality with the visitors we're trying to drive to the area. And then other than that, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Our ask this year is $1,300 overall, which is a 1% increase over last year. We're typically, the 3 to 4%, but after some discussions, we were able to make this budget work for us for next year without cutting too much. And, I did a lot of print ads this past year. We heard from our members that they wanted to see ads in the big glossy magazines. And what we basically did a variation of our events calendars. So it was, very visually appealing, and then just, something that could stay on the newsstands throughout the duration of that, whatever that particular magazine was on the stands for. So,
I think you guys do a really great job with the Visit Lenox. Your Instagram presence is quite robust. You guys are great about sending out information toward the end of every week about what's coming up in Lenox for the coming weekend, which is super helpful. So I applaud you for keeping up with that and keeping that presence, and constantly sort of, you're not there every day, but you're there before the weekend. So it's like, hey, this is what you can do in Lenox this weekend, and that's super helpful to get people into our restaurants, heads in beds, all that good stuff. So,
yeah, I mean,
thank you.
I feel very confident that we're serving our members by getting the word out on whatever they're promoting or whatever they have going on, but it also serves the residents and the visitors that are here alike. So there's always something for everyone. I have to say, when we're working in season and I'm here all the time, and it's a bit of an overload for me, and sometimes I'm just like, I become a hermit in the summer. Last summer, I took advantage of, there was so much going on, and I would literally be like, oh my gosh, what should we do tonight? There are like 3 or 4 things going on just in Lenox, So it's kind of nice when you force yourself to go out among the crowds, because it's lively, and it's I don't know, it's fun, and it's the best of Lenox. I mean, I can't say I don't love the quiet of the winter too, but it's all the planning and whatnot. But I know that the summer energy is coming right around the corner, so.
Well, it's nice that you're pushing this stuff out, and there's a lot to do, and it's February.
Yeah.
We've got friends coming up from Brooklyn this weekend, and I've pushed it out to them already. So
Right,
that they can
great.
kind of select what it is they might like to do when they come to visit. So thank you very much
Yes.
for that
well,
advertising.
Thank you. I mean, thanks. I'm glad you're pushing that out because that's, so, we just continue to do what we're doing. And, we've seen the numbers increase every year with the tourism tax. So we figure we're doing something right. So anyway, thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'm obviously happy to answer anything.
So how much, what's the percentage you're asking for this year over last year is only
1% from
just
last year.
1%. So it's hardly-
$1,300.
It's not very much at all, of an increase. Thank you for that. How many members do you have?
Well, we pretty much hold steady around 135. There's right now we're still like renewing everybody and getting the new businesses that are coming on, but we pretty much hold steady at 135.
Of
Which is
course,
a pretty
what they pay depends on the size of the business. and
yeah.
that kind of
So if you're a hotel, it depends on the rooms you have. Your general business, it's a certain fee. If you're a nonprofit, it's a different fee.
Here's a
So-
question, this is just, if you can educate me. What do towns typically give to a chamber of commerce?
So most towns across Massachusetts.
I know it's gonna be different, it's gonna be all
Yeah,
over the place.
it's usually in the 5 to 10% of the tourism tax. But, I mean, we're sort of an anomaly, Lenox, because our tourism, we collect so much in the tourism.
Right,
And it's
right.
always been, our number's always been lower because we collect so much.
Right, right.
So I know for Lee, it's about the 7% range, and, some of the other ones, it's always 5 to 10% is the typical. So, we're in sort of like.
Does that
we're like
equate
the
to,
3%.
does that equate to, say, half your budget per year? That's about what we're doing, right?
Yes, yeah,
56%.
56%.
always 50, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
56, is that typical of what towns? It's all over the place, isn't it?
varies.
Actually, it's.
Yeah.
it's-
You couldn't even answer that
Williamstown-
question, probably.
Williamstown it's much less.
Yeah.
It feels, in general to me,
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a knock, I'm just commenting on numbers. It feels like Lenox pays quite a bit, the town pays quite a bit vis-à-vis the membership at 56%, but maybe I'm wrong, I mean,
Yeah, I don't
it's.
know.
And I don't know where we stand in terms of potential membership versus who maintains membership.
Right. Well, there's a couple of things. We're a very small town, and we're so seasonal. So there's so much money that's brought in by a small number of our members. So like Tanglewood and the Mount and Benford Hall, and those guys bring in. They get so much more bang for their buck, or they're helping the town that way. I mean, we couldn't just survive on membership fees. The chamber would be a very different organization that way. But I think it's very important, like I said, having the visitor center is so important, which is a lot of what the town funds. And then the second part is we sort of split the marketing, which is, our common goal is to bring people to town, and goal is to have people to move here. So, you've got to bring people here to see the town and experience it so that they will hopefully eventually will come back or send their kids here for camp or rent a house here or buy a house here. So I think that overall, we're operating on a pretty slim budget for what we bring to the town, So, I mean, if we're saying the tourism tax this year bringing in, 4.9 million maybe for 2024, something like that.
Keep your fingers crossed.
And so we're operating on a $250,000 budget. It's a pretty good ROI, I think, for the town, long term.
Lenox Cultural District also has a contribution component. Is it like 50% of the Lenox Cultural District allocation that the chamber gets, or is it a smaller?
No, yeah, I'm not sure what it is of the cultural council, because we have a separate budget for it's through the district culture. Yeah, so I'm not sure what the percentage is for that, but that funds our programming, the art walks and all of those things that, we started in the COVID years, which have become so successful now. I mean, we have wait lists of artists trying to get in, and we want to keep it, we could have 80 artists, but we don't want to. We want to keep it 50. We want to keep it manageable. We want to keep it just, we want to maintain that, that feel so that it's just not a zoo.
Right.
So that's the other thing. So anyway, all right.
Any more questions there?
Thank you. You guys do great work. I sit on the Lenox Cultural District Steering Committee with Jen. We see each other every month over Zoom, planning these events, the art, spring art walk, Lenox Loves Music, the jazz stroll, fall art walk, at the Winterland events. So they're
We're
very
pretty
busy.
active. We're pretty active compared to all, the other. And also, our goal when I started here was to expand the shoulder seasons. That was the big thing. I had heard from you guys, no marketing really during the summer months because, everyone's just support the people, our businesses and members. And so that's what we've done. We've really built up May and September and October. I mean, our season goes till mid-November now, which is amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Jen, what do you think the occupancy rate is of most of our lodging establishments on any given time? Is it upwards in the 90%?
Oh, well,
or less
yeah.
than
I
that?
mean, you can't get a room here in late mid-September, any from July and August, and then there's a little bit of a week break right after Labor Day, and then September through November, totally booked. We're seeing a lot of weddings. That's just booming, that business. So we're doing a wedding page on our website just to be an aggregator of information so that, people will come into the chamber and say, okay, where do I start, kind of thing. And so, my colleague there who has been a wedding and event planner, I mean, she's a wealth of information, and we connect people. That's what our role is.
We tried to really expand on that a few years ago, probably 10 years ago, and we gave money to people that were doing it, and it's a great business to be in.
It really is.
It really and truly is.
Yeah. It's weird too, though. It's I think that anyone can see this. It's when we're busy, right now we're seeing a shift of when people are having weddings because it was so competitive to have weddings in the summer and September. So now it's kind of pushing a little bit. So, these things are all sort of, they move around a little bit. So again, it's just keeping up on the trends and just being there to, serve the people that are coming to town and want to come to town and bring their families to town and, again, driving the economy here, so.
Well, the streets are busy, and
That's for sure.
the shops and restaurants that are open are always. It's very ironic that, there's certain locations that just can't seem to hold on to a lasting tenant, given how busy some of the other places are, but, that's not you folks. I'm just saying.
No, I know, but having had a business in Lenox, it's tough, it's tough, it's the.
Employee-wise in particular.
I think, yeah, always, but you know what, you get a really good summer, staffing here. They just leave before the summer's ending, the college kids go back, but, you just have to really be prepared for the January, February, and March month of having, being in the red. And so I think if people, when they're flush, they don't realize that. And so, it takes a couple years to really understand. Max, come on. You've worked in the hotel business, right? You sock it away. But it turns over. It looks like we're not going to have any empty spaces come the summer,
Oh, really?
The Purple Plume spot got filled, the Annie Selke space got filled, our old spot got filled, so, people come back, businesses come in, so.
Great. Well,
Great, yes.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good presentation, thank you for that.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen.
I gotta figure out myself how to not, I get 5 of the fun in the chamber this week, and don't know where to keep it. I must have somebody tell me,
Clarence, you want it? You want this? Oh, you got it?
That's probably against the side part. Okay, moving on to a preliminary review of we need to open a public hearing.
Yes.
So we're going to discuss water and sewer rates for fiscal year '26. Jay has been in touch with Billy Gopp and other folks early on to discuss this. I met with Jay and Billy a couple of days ago. We have to open the public hearing in February, but we won't be able to make decisions on rates today.
That's right.
And I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Motion to.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we open a public hearing for the water and sewer rates.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Right, so not unlike last year, we want to make sure that we have the correct data, the most relevant contemporary data before we go ahead and make a recommendation on the rates. Both Anna and I are new to this process, so we want to be a little bit more deliberate and make sure we're using the right figures. We'll also connect with former town manager Ketchen and make sure we're using the same methodology. But there's a few things that are dynamic in play. You'll hear me say that even during the budget presentation too. But with the sewer rate in particular, particularly with the wastewater treatment plant project coming online soon, we want to get a sense of when we're going to have to start making payments on that work, and that may have an impact on the rate setting as well. So that's one of the things we want to wait for. We have a labor agreement that's open with DPW. Some of those funds come out of the water and sewer enterprise, so we want to be sure we have that data as well. So we're just not ready yet, but we're working diligently on it, and as soon as we have that data, we'll come in front of the board and we'll have that conversation with some sharp numbers.
Do you remember when we actually set the rate last year?
We've done it everywhere from the beginning of the year. We're not late right now.
No, we're certainly not
Any
late,
stretch
because
of
I remember
imagination, so-
Chris making the same speech.
Yeah.
This is required in February, but
I want to say maybe mid-March last
I
year.
think it was
give or
March-ish
take.
to
Yeah.
April.
We have a meeting with USDA tomorrow, so we'll have some better information on the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, you do have a meeting?
Yeah, yep. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock via Zoom
Great.
with USDA. So we'll get some more information.
So do we need a motion to?
You'll need a motion to
Why don't we continue?
Continue.
Yeah. I'll make a motion, we continue the public hearing until 2 weeks from tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So we will be continuing to talk about water and sewer rates. And next up, in a similar vein, this is the first time we're going to hear a preliminary overview of our fiscal year '26 budget. Hopefully everyone's got a budget book. There will be, infilled pages as budgets drill down with department heads. But Jay wants to give us an overview tonight. I don't want to steal your thunder, but.
No worries. You can take it.
In summary, and Jay and Anna and others have been looking carefully at, across all departments. There's no big surprises. With most departments, we're keeping level services. The biggest cost drivers are that we're going to start paying debt on the public safety complex. We have a big hit to healthcare costs this year that's across the board. And then, as far as we know, so far, school is going to come in pretty high.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Lenox isn't necessarily in any different position than any other community. Our debt service, which again, as you said, Neil, we've expected this. This is what we have to do to have the nice building. And frankly, having looked at some of the public safety facilities over the last few days, we need it. And it's going to be a facility that we're going to be very, very proud of. Our staff is really going to, I think, enjoy working out of there. But there's a cost to it. We'll keep looking at it. We keep looking at the individual departments. No one was asking for anything that far out of the ordinary. Our citizens should rest be assured that we're doing everything we can to make sure, one, we provide the level of services that we've come to expect, and number two, we do so in an efficient manner and keep looking at ways to make it even more efficient. So if there's any increases in the budget as we go through with the finance committee, it's mostly going to be either fixed costs or some discretionary costs, but nothing that's that large. If anything, it might actually make service delivery better. There's some ideas that Anna and I have to try to maybe mitigate some of those increases, but there'll be, conversations that we have to have a little bit later. There's still some data coming in. We still want to watch what we're going to get for state aid, tweak those numbers a little bit, but nothing out of the ordinary for early February. And one of the things that we are watching is that USDA loan for wastewater treatment. Prickett Engineering, our engineering contractor, is watching it. USDA is watching it. We'll have more data tomorrow, and we just need to figure out when to be ready for that first payment on top of the public safety payment. So again, nothing that anyone should be surprised about. We just want to be sure that we have our game plan in place.
More questions, comments? I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat it. We're looking at a levy increase.
Yeah.
It's double digits for sure at this point. We were hopeful a few weeks ago, but at that, I'm safe to say we're probably well north of 10% at this point on it.
Yeah, I mean, I nerded out. I was in the Finance Committee overview with the Finance Committee because this is the stuff that I love. So
It's strangely addictive.
it is.
But it doesn't, I walked in this morning and I had, budget blues, but as I said to a few people, it's normal for this town manager and select boards this time of year to have that. It's resource allocation. There's a lot of things that we want to do, only so much money, and we be good stewards of the taxpayers with it. But, the town of Lenox has decided to take on some pretty significant, projects, and we just need to be sure that we continue to absorb them appropriately and communicate well as to what the costs are of doing that, so we can make informed decisions. Chris Ketchen had a good game plan with it. I'm in contact with him, make sure we don't deviate too far from it, tweak it as we go, and we'll try to get you as much information as possible so the right decisions are made. But it's a tough budget year. It's a tough budget year for all of our town manager colleagues and select boards. We're dealing with the same thing.
We read the papers, and it's nobody's smiling right now.
No, it's the cost of operating in municipalities are not inexpensive anymore. And, for Lenox, thankfully, we can absorb some of that. I didn't see anything in any of the department budgets that are glaring that, we need to get rid of that. We've been pretty lean. We'll continue to, do that. And when we do recommend making any recommendations, we'll be sure that there's some level of value to that. And it's not just an arbitrary that. But, we still need cruisers. We still need DPW equipment. We still need to pave roads. We still need to maintain our infrastructure. We have a lot of great projects to do, and we just need to time them appropriately and manage our debt service well.
No, that's well said, Jay. If we're going to level fund and we're going to continue to, have pride in our town and do the things that it's necessary to keep up with our, infrastructure, our, don't let things fall to the wayside. We got to do what we got to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad the healthcare throws a wrinkle in. It seems almost every year, but this is a big number this year.
Yes.
And
I feel like this is kind of a trend that we had a couple of years where the increase isn't dramatic, and then we get hit with a really big one, and it goes back to not dramatic for a couple of years. I don't know the industry well enough to.
And we always think, are we with the right insurance group? Should we be looking elsewhere? But when you look at the competition, maybe you can save 1%. And when you think about what you have to go through in order to effectually, change, you're going to lose that 1% savings anyway. So you just kind of have to ride it out. And you've made previous investments, with a Berkshire Health Group before. So we're with Berkshire Health Group. Their average is 16% increase. Maya, which is kind of the other largest group, Mary Beth and I were at MMA, is 14% is their average. I think Matt Kerr, with the finance director in Pittsfield, they'll be lucky if they see maybe 13%. So we're not the only ones.
we've looked at this year after year, and it's never seemed to really make sense to make the move.
It's not that big enough savings. As you said, it's an industry-wide. In terms of number of employees, I'm new guy, so I'm looking at all these things with a new lens. We're not overstaffed we're pretty well right-sized. So if that's not a lot of people just don't go through, but you need people to run a community. You need people to deliver those services, and we have some great staff here that do a lot that's asked of them. So we need to be sure that they're compensated, and part of that's the health benefits with it. But we're not the only ones we're just lucky that we can absorb some of it, but we just have to be smart in what else we do with it.
Well, we'll be ready to discuss this 2 weeks from now, or do you want to?
I think we'll probably.
We'll work on an agenda for 2 weeks from now.
Yes,
I mean,
we just started finance committee meetings. Ann and I chatted today, we're going through our capital plan, we've tweaked that up a little bit, a little bit more. I'm coming online, learning about the stabilization accounts, what we have, how much we can put in those stabilization accounts this year, so when we do need to hit those, we don't anticipate taking anything out of any of the stabilization accounts for this budget. That doesn't mean that won't be the case in fiscal '27. So if we have the opportunity, we have some available free cash after we fund our CIP, and we address the operating budget, we'll be sure we put some of that money away. Chris has done a fantastic, it's old news for us, but, those stabilization accounts are very helpful. They'll certainly help us do that. And, we're going to continue to look at some debt management strategy. How do we do that? When is it tactically prudent to pay some of it down? And we'll have those conversations and learn those techniques as we
Yeah,
go.
the stabilization accounts have been very, very good to us. We need a new ambulance, fire truck, pick a thing, and we have the money to almost pay cash for it. So it's a good feeling. It's good, but we have to fund it every year, though.
That's right. That's right. And, there's other things too, just, fair warning. There's things that maybe Lenox has been, doing year over year that's worked, but now that we have a significant change in, with the debt service coming online, maybe we'll look at things a little differently. That doesn't necessarily mean that this year, but, we'll maybe make some changes next fiscal year, et cetera, to be able to absorb, some of that structural changes without so much of a hit on the levy. So work in progress. It's a tough year. We're taking a look at it, and we'll be ready for town meeting.
One thing comes to mind, I think we talked about this on Monday with Billy, maybe not, but we do an OPEB contribution regularly. And, I think we have north of $9 million in our OPEB balance.
Yeah.
And every year we kind of say, well, should we not? Well, no, it's a good idea that we do. This is one of our bigger increases because of particularly healthcare and the safety debt coming online. It's something that, it's not a magic bullet, but it's something to think about.
Yeah, we might want to, choose to, I already have a communication into our town independent auditor, Tom Scanlon, with Scanlon Associates, see what he thinks. And maybe this is a year, we reduce that contribution a little bit. Lenox is probably, don't hold me to this, but Lenox is probably the only community, I would say, the far western part of the state that has sufficient. We're still not there yet. I think our liability, we're only at maybe 34% of our total liability. Yeah. But, I feel in the OPEB world, and now we're getting really down into the weeds of, you're always chasing it. Every time you change your employee, your full-time headcount, every time somebody leaves and a new employee comes on, all of that, changes. So you're kind of always chasing yourself. And there's a lot of different schools with it. Some schools don't bother funding it at all. Lenox has done a great job. It's had the resources to be able to do it. So now we just need to make a decision and say, do those priorities, those funding priorities, do they now shift? And are we okay where we're at? We never want to disadvantage the town. We're never going to put the town in a position of, exposure, but maybe we don't put $250 in it every year on the tax levy. Maybe we drop it. So we're thinking those things, through as we go.
Yeah, those and other things. That's what you should be doing. That's good practice. Look at it all the time. Every year it could be a little different. And
yeah, it's just
to do that.
It's a year. You take it each year. People have been used to certain things in the budget. Town meeting members are used to seeing certain things, but maybe going forward we have to tweak that a little bit. And contending with the town budget is no different than the school department. With those budgets, I think going forward, as long as all of us remain in municipal service, we're going to have some hard conversations, and it won't be just in Lenox. It's going to be in every community in the county and probably across the Commonwealth about how we're delivering municipal services, what those costs are, where can we achieve efficiency. Lenox does a great job between Tri-Town Health, Berkshire Build, which is we just added on another town. Because we added on another town, in part to share building inspector services, that reduces the contribution that the town of Lenox, not by a tremendous amount, but it's still savings that we can pass on to the taxpayer. We'll continue to look for that stuff. And I think South County does it really well.
Great. All right. Excuse me. I don't think we have anything else. So
no, I'm good.
Our next meeting will be the 26th. Same time, same place.
Same channel.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Diego. Thanks, Clarence.